Let us recall that Rohingya refugees in the camps have not chosen to live there. They were driven out by conflict and the continued violation of their human rights. They want to return to their homes, and they should be able to do so. Concrete measures must be taken to create the conditions necessary for their voluntary, safe, dignified, and sustainable return and reintegration. Moreover, we need a comprehensive plan for a sustainable resolution to this crisis, one that facilitates the return of Rohingya Muslims and other minority groups to Myanmar. Excellencies, this stakeholder dialogue provides a valuable opportunity to address the humanitarian challenges faced by those in the camps and to identify the actions required to foster conditions for voluntary, safe, sustainable, and dignified return. It is vital that these discussions include the voices of civil society, women, and youth. This dialogue will inform the high-level conference in New York on September 30 this year. We need sustainable peace in Myanmar and in the region. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, may I request the Honorable Chief Advisor, Honorable National Security Advisor and High Representative for the Rohingyas, Honorable Advisor of the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, and His Excellency Mr. Rao Maju, Assistant High Commissioner for Operations and Assistant Secretary General, UNHCR, to kindly come to the stage and take their seats.
Yunus.
Thank you very much. Esteemed audience, may I now request Mr. Rao Maju, Assistant.
His Excellency Professor Dr. Mohammed Yunus, Honorable Chief Advisor of the Government of Bangladesh, His Excellency Mr. Farouk Azam Biafoti, Honorable Advisor of the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, His Excellency Dr. Tariqur Rahman, High Representative for the Rohingya issue and National Security Advisor from Bangladesh, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic community, United Nations, Resident Coordinator, heads of UN agencies, refugee representatives, participants, ladies and gentlemen. 8 long years have passed since 700,000 Rohingya were compelled to flee to Bangladesh, pushed by unspeakable violence and human rights violations in Myanmar, Rakhine State. There are presently 1.1 million in Bangladesh. In a world where the right of asylum is sometimes questioned, Bangladesh's response has been remarkable. The global populations welcoming those in desperate need despite the difficult circumstances in which they sometimes find themselves. The international community has played its role, providing hundreds of millions of dollars to respond to the humanitarian needs of refugees in Cox's Bazar and Bashar Shah. However, the situation has prolonged, and the number of forcibly displaced has continued to increase around the world, reaching 120 million by the end of 2024. It has become increasingly difficult to mobilize the resources required. As of today, the funding of the Joint Response Plan stands at approximately 60%, while the continued provision of food assistance could be secured to provide the global public good. The required funding is made available in the spirit of burden sharing, reaffirmed by the Global Compact for Refugees. Honorable Chief Advisor of the Government of Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, merely providing humanitarian assistance neither constitutes a solution nor ensures protection. The consultation we are having today, facilitated by the September 2025 General Assembly, a high-level setting. The voluntary return in condition of safety and dignity remains the most desirable solution, and the responsibility to create the conditions for it to happen lies squarely on Myanmar. political solution to the crisis in Myanmar must be found, and the UN, led by the Secretary General and his special envoy, continues to work in support of these efforts. In order to start recreating conditions for the return of refugees, dialogue with all parties is a critical step. Rights must be respected, and as the Secretary General said on Saturday, civilians must be protected. However, much more needs to be done by a multiplicity of actors, including regional bodies and regional and neighboring states for peaceful return to Myanmar, and more specifically, the Rakhine State. There are an estimated 3.5 million internally displaced persons in Myanmar, and in the past 18 months alone, 150 more Rohingya have fled targeted violence to Bangladesh. Honorable Chief Advisor of the Government of Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, a comprehensive response continues to be required to meet the individual needs in a manner that helps prepare for the eventual return. Because long-term dependency on humanitarian assistance does not prepare Rohingya refugees for the part they ought to play in the reconstruction of their country once they return. It is therefore very positive to see the important role played by development actors and the private sector in the response. We need more innovative approaches that accommodate the need for refugees to retain their ability to play an active role in the reconstruction of their country while not creating conditions that would make the eventual return elusive. Our presence in Cox's Bazar today is a clear indication of our determination to be by the side of the refugees represented in this meeting, as well as the government and people of Bangladesh, and be part of the solution. A situation involving over 1 million displaced persons cannot be left to morph into a regional crisis affecting all countries in the region. And I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, may I request His Excellency Mr. Farooq A. Azam, Refugee, Honorable Advisor of the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, to kindly make his remarks. Sir.
Honorable Chief Advisor, Professor Yunus, Honorable High Representative on the Rohingya Issues and National Security Advisor, representatives of government, UN agencies, NGOs, and press, my Rohingya brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed my honor to speak before you. Today's dialogue is more than a conference. It is call to action for one of the world's most persecuted communities, the Rohingyas. Bangladesh now sheltered around 1.3. Despite limited resources, Bangladesh sheltered them with a deep sense of compassion and humanitarian responsibilities. The government of Bangladesh has been closely working in tandem with donors and partners, UN agencies, international non-government organizations, and other relevant stakeholders to extend humanitarian support to the Rohingyas. Currently, the UN agencies, 11 UN agencies, 168 NGOs, bilateral and humanitarian partners, and our law enforcement.
In the graves of their loved ones, and this exodus continues. Today, they live in the world's largest shelter camps. Safety came at a price. Loss of human dignity, livelihood opportunities, and own homes. Now they have more frustration than hope.
আর জায়গা জমি রেজিস্ট্রেশন হতে সে এর কাছে আমরা ভোটিকে নাম করে পেতাম এখন হচ্ছে আর কিছু মানে শুধু আশ্রয় যাইব দেখা শুরু করছে যে কোনো কারণে নাকি আর নিত কোনোদিন মনে নয় কেন
আমার মানে তো ওই আমার মানে এটা না আমার মনে কোনো দেখি আমার আর দেখ আমার কোনো
The generosity of Bangladesh gave the Rohingyas a shelter and survival. Hence, now over 1 million Rohingyas live alongside the people of Humanitarian, dignified, and Humanitarian. But the impact on the host community is huge. They have shared their own land with Rohingyas. Resources are becoming increasingly scarce. Prices of essential items are rising alarmingly. Forests are shrinking. Environment and ecosystem are degrading. Quality of life is sharply falling. The United Nations Secretary General visited Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar, calling for global solidarity, improved living conditions, and a safe, voluntary, and dignified return of the Rohingya to their homeland.
Rohingyas want to go back to Myanmar. It's essential that the international community does everything to make sure that peace is established in Myanmar and that the rights of the Rohingyas are respected, that discrimination and persecution like the one that we witnessed in the past will end.
In recent months, the nightmare has repeated. Armed clashes in Rakhine State, this time led by the Iraqi army, have driven around 150,000 Rohingyas out of their homes yet again. Villages have been raided, homes torched, and civilians caught in the crossfire. Until that day comes, Rohingyas live on hopes for going back to their homeland in Rohingya.
Thank you. May I now request His Excellency Dr. National Security Advisor and High Representative for the Rohingya issue, to kindly deliver his welcome remarks.
Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency Professor Yunus, Chief Advisor of the Government, Honorable Advisor of the Ministry of Disaster Management, distinguished representatives of governments, UN agencies, and regional and international organizations, distinguished representatives of Bangladeshi and international NGOs, civil society organizations, and the academia, our Rohingya brothers and sisters, friends from the local and international media, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is both a pleasure and a profound honor to welcome you to this stakeholders dialogue. This dialogue is being held prior to the UN High-Level Conference in New York on September 30th this year on Rohingya and other ethnic minorities in Myanmar. The purpose of this stakeholders dialogue is to help amplify the voice of the Rohingyas, which has remained largely unheard of for decades. We, the participants of this dialogue, will carry forward this voice to the rest of the world, particularly to the high-level conference next month, so that it is reflected in the outcome of the conference and our collective actions to resolve this protracted issue. Esteemed participants, today, which is 23 August, has been identified for this auspicious event in order to commemorate the Rohingya genocide which was committed by the Myanmar forces and the Iraqi collaborators 8 years ago. This event demonstrates the unwavering compassion, empathy, and solidarity.
এবার টাইমে এগাই এই মানে ওয়েটিং মধ্যে আছে जो চিফ এডভাইজার অফ বাংলাদেশ ডক্টর ইউনুস সাহেব নয় আর ওয়েটিং মধ্যে আছি ইনহলে আর রোহিঙ্গার রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ আর অন্য দেশ বা যিন নিকি আর রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ আছে ইন অলমোস্ট হাজার এগিয়ে আজ হলেও আর মাইনার অডিয়েন্স মেজর অডিয়েন্স হলে যা পুরা দেশ বেঁচে হিনো যা অলমোস্ট বাংলাদেশের আর অন্যান্য দেশের বেগুন আসিয়া তারা রোহিঙ্গা ইস্যুর হাজ করে তারা চেষ্টা দিয়ে